exactly 15 away from 7 o'clock. News comes your way at the top of the hour. But before that, we're going to hear how the Methodists did Easter, as well as we're going to focus on Financial Literacy Month. That's where we are. And we've got Crystal Howell joining us now, Chartered Professional Accountant and Certified Internal Auditor. Good morning and happy Easter Monday to you.
Good morning.
Morning,
Now,
Crystal. Nice to see you.
yes, let's get
Nice to
right
see you as
into
well.
it. Yeah, so good to see you. But we want to focus on having that financial literacy going into this month, going through this month to take us beyond this month.
Yes, and in particular, we're focusing on the children because we want to make sure we have that foundation from a very early age and teach them how to understand money so that it's not something that's intimidating to them as they get older and grow into adults. So we would have started the discussion last week and we would have gotten a kind of feel for what we're going to be going through over the next coming weeks. And we'll pick back up where we left off and start to go into what the fundamentals of money would be when you're teaching young children. So some of the first things they tell you to look at is to actually define what money is and what value you get from money. So you can introduce your child to different denominations of bills and coins and explain to them the relative value and what certain amounts can buy. So especially now, you want children to understand that money may be limited and there are certain things which would be important. And if you had, for instance, a bag of flour, a bag of rice, how much of this particular denomination you can use to purchase this, and what happens when it runs out. You want children to be able
Mm-hmm.
to understand that they have to be able to make wise decisions because there's only so much money and you can only get so many things for this money.
Right.
One,
It is
How
so
young are
true.
you talking about, Crystal, in terms of teaching? You say young kids, but how young, and what sort of methods would you advise? I know my parents, when they went to the supermarket, well, not my parents, at first it was my grandmother. I had no concept at all that, she used to pay at the end of collecting the stuff. So here's a 3-year-old going and taking up a toy inside of the store, and she's saying, I'm going to call the police for you, you haven't paid that for that. And I'm like, paid, there for grandparents, you know what I mean? So I learned immediately then that you pay for stuff, you don't just take them up and carry them to the car, which is what I thought. So how young are you talking? True
the
story, and there's more to it, but I won't do that now.
the literature recommends age of 5, but I would personally say that you should look out for signs that your children are becoming aware of these things. So I do know that from a very young age, my parents would have started to teach me about money in terms of being able to understand. You go to school with a dollar, and back then a dollar could buy a lot, but I would
Oh
have this,
yeah.
and I may have it for the entire week. And I knew that if I spent the entire dollar on Monday, I had nothing for the rest of the week. And I knew that if I spent 25 cents, I might be able to get a pack of biscuits or a chocolate or whatever the case may be. And if I only bought one thing, I might have enough snacks for the rest of the week. So those are kind of the things that you can start to show a child. This is the consequence of what happens when you don't understand money has a finite value, as opposed to the child
Hmm.
spends the entire amount that you give them and then they have nothing for the rest of the week and you top them back up, because then they feel as though money
Mm.
may be something that is infinite, and you can have these small
That it
lessons.
literally grows on trees.
Correct. Correct.
Yes,
Children should
right.
be able to understand from early, if you do not plan ahead, you will have consequences.
Okay. So once you get them to understand the value of money and how to start respecting it, and you can teach them, showing them the differences based on your specific denominations and all that. Now you want to make sure that it sinks in the importance of keeping some and spending some, difference between needs and wants. How easy
Yes.
is that?
It depends on the child. I'd say my parents had a very easy job because I took to learning about money and saving and budgeting very easily. But there's some children,
Destiny.
depending on their personality, they might know the lesson and they still go ahead and spend the entire amount on the first day and decide they're fine with the consequences. And the children are so unpredictable and you have to love them. They keep you on your toes, but you as a parent will have to know you need to do a bit more work to reinforce those lessons with that particular child and not to give up on them easily because they didn't catch it on the first try, but to
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
repeat the lesson, and to find different creative ways to get through to a child because we all learn in different ways. So some children you can just say it and they will get it. Some like to have visual aids, some like to be able to have real life lessons. So how many parents have their children understanding what they do for work, and as part of the work, the salary that comes along with that or the wages that come along with that and the effort that goes behind them earning the money that they then have to pass down. How many parents let their children do chores so that they
Mm-hmm.
can also learn the value of, if you realize you tell your child this only has to be for the entire week and they don't learn the lesson, maybe doing some chores and them seeing how hard it is to work for money might make them less inclined to just spend it all in one day because they know they had to work really hard to be able to earn the
Mm.
money that you give them.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you
I feel
very
like
much.
this,
You know,
yes. I feel like this is taking
I
us
I
back to some of the days, Peter, where you would hear people saying, "I don't know how these old people saved money, but they made it happen." Because today there are
they
still
make a
people who will
dollar
be like that. I don't
stretch.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing for me is that I would love to find out how do you. We always teach our children about saving, but how do you teach them about investing? I wish that I had been taught that, but back
Good one.
then, that was not. So perhaps that's something that we can look at next.
Next week.
How, yeah, how early can you, teach a child to invest, and how do you teach a child to invest? That should be interesting.
The one thing I will leave before we go off is that
Yes,
you need
yes,
to acknowledge what you don't know. And it's not everything about money that you yourself would know or practice. So this is where you will definitely have to look for outside sources to make sure that your child
ah,
can learn from things that you yourself never got the opportunity to learn about. So I know many parents that do not know about investing, but they made sure that their children knew about investing so they
yes.
could make better decisions.
Excellent.
You want your child to do.
Excellent point.
Thank you, Crystal
Have a good
Howell.
day,
We appreciate
Crystal.
it. Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Enjoy it. It is so true. You are so welcome. Thank you. And I hope that parents are paying attention. Children are home now, so you